Coming up on the news at 7, the next step in the plan to revitalize downtown and how much money leaders say they'll have to take from your pocket. Let's start with the good news, if there can be any good news in a situation like this. The suspect is in custody right now. The sound of broken glass, that was the first sign for many people that something terrible was happening out here. In fact, that was the first thing that Lila Seckler heard. She lives just over that way. Tell me what you heard this morning and what you did next. You can see from that video that the officer punched Smith several times. But when he went to write the probable cause affidavit, he left that part out. Back with breaking news, an important update on the search for 21-year-old Cohen Hans Barron. And I'm Tom Powell at our downtown Olympic studio. We have team coverage planned for you tonight inside Notre Dame Stadium. You can feel the place come alive. The Allen County Courthouse, Forteza Coffee, and Cottage Flowers are about to get a starring role in a new film. And Linda, how is this for timing? Let me switch to the camera on top of our car. And as you can see, that is the NBC Peacock right there. If you send me to a tailgate, I'm going to tailgate, right? I looked at Ticketmaster. They tell us just those 4 upper corners of the Coliseum are left. Winning the Kelly Cup in front of his father, Ron, who's a Hall of Famer with the Comets. Prosecutor told the jurors to use their common sense. There's no way that anyone else committed this crime, that Cohen Hans Barron is guilty, that these crimes were passionate and personal, and they could not have been committed by some stranger that went into the house. According to police, Smith's car was pulled over here on the side of Abbott Street. The man who shot the video was shooting from that perspective. Listen as he tries to talk to police.
Hey, what are you doing, bro?
Everywhere you look, you see damage, like this giant tree. It was uprooted in this front lawn of this home on Sandpoint. An Allen County jury has found a Fort Wayne man guilty of murdering a family of 4. The crimes taking place in June of 2021. Good afternoon from the News Flash Desk in the WPTA Newsroom. I'm Tom Powell with an update on that case. Again, the jury at around 10 o'clock delivering that guilty verdict. It's located just south of East DuPont. That's right where that new Meijer is being built right now. I was out there earlier. I talked with a witness and with a man who was actually inside that mobile home when it caught on fire. I want you to listen to that.
All you could see were flames shooting high in the sky. This whole road, you couldn't even see houses 30 feet from you. It was horrible. The smoke, everything. It was just so thick and you couldn't barely breathe.
It's not only what Lila Seckler saw and felt, but what she heard that will stay with her forever.
I heard the windows just shattering, trying to get in there, trying to get to their kids, trying to save them, get everybody out, hopefully safely, but it didn't happen.
That devastating news confirmed by Fort Wayne firefighters. The 4 children inside did not make it out alive. The 4 adults, including Travis Garrison,
I ran through the house screaming fire,
suffered injuries but survived. He says he lived here with his sister and her boyfriend and with the mother of the 4 children.
She was able to push out the AC and was able to get out of there, and then she ran over to me and asked if her kids were okay, and I told her that they were still in there, and I was running to the front door to try and break it open, and it wouldn't open. I kept hearing the kids screaming, and I couldn't do anything about it.
He says they then got on top of this truck and tried to break the windows.
She was trying to go back in there. We all were trying to go back in there. We couldn't get into the house. The fire was too high, smoke was too thick, we could not get it back into that house.
Fire trucks soon arrived here on Grassy Lane. The crews had the fire out in about 20 minutes. The tragedy now just setting in for neighbors like Lila Seckler as investigators work to figure out the cause. It must have been awful.
Yeah, they were devastated. I couldn't imagine being in their shoes. It was heartbreaking.
Some emotional moments from the scene there at that mobile home park today. You heard from a man who was inside when this fire broke out. He says all of the adults were able to get out and they tried to get back into that home to try and rescue those 4 children who were stuck inside. They could hear them screaming. And then they say that those screams went silent, and obviously we know the tragic end of that story right now.
Brian, so she and her husband went up to the front of the congregation, and she told that whole story. The pastor later admitting to his congregation she was 16 years old. I've been in touch with Gephardt since that Sunday. Today, she told me she was ready to do her first on-camera interview. Bobby, thanks for sitting down and talking with us. First of all, I want to ask you why you decided to speak out.
I feel like there are more victims that have been hurt by the church, by people in the church. I mean, we've obviously seen that on Facebook where people have come out. And I feel like if my voice can help other girls to come out, not just even this situation, but others that were like me to speak out, then I want to help.
Take me back to the day of that Sunday service. You knew that he was going to speak?
I did.
And so what did you do once you knew that?
We weren't going to go. My family, none of my family were going to go because we knew what he was going to say on that morning was going to be a lie. Then my family was texting me, telling me my brother was back in Georgia at this time, telling me, you got to get there. They have to see you. They have to hear your voice. They have to hear your story. So I said, nope, I'm staying home. I'm not going to go. And then my sister was already at the church texting me, you got to get there, or get here, you got to come. My brother kept texting me, you got to go. So finally, I just said, okay, I'm going to go. And that was very hard to walk in the building at that moment, knowing that he was going to lie about me. And so I went to the back row and sat with my husband until John Lowe made his statement. And then we took that opportunity, and nobody allowed us, but we took the stage.
This wasn't planned for you?
No, not at all.
I want to go back to some of what he said. And how he framed it, right?
Yeah.
He said, I committed adultery. It was nearly 20 years ago. It continued for far too long. Framing this as adultery, you were sitting there listening to that. What were you thinking as you were listening?
I was getting fire on the inside, just thinking it was a lie. I couldn't take that anymore. And I was not happy. So my husband was standing in the back when he addressed, and then I stood up with him as he was telling the congregation these lies.
You, when you got up there, I think what people noticed is you were really composed. Where did that composure come from?
I have no idea. But what I did jot a few notes in my phone as my niece drove me to the church, and I knew I could only look at him.
I lived in a prison of lies and shame. Lying to protect the Lowe family. For years I thought I was a horrible person having suicidal thoughts, not realizing what had been truly done to me, that I was a victim.
He was the one that was lying about me, and I wanted to make sure he knew, because he knew the truth.
What's the truth?
The truth is that he molested me as a minor, and he stole my virginity at 16. All of this came out, and I'm understanding more what actually happened to me, that he had me in his home, that we were trusted friends. He called my dad his best friend. You don't do that kind of stuff. You don't say, I love you to a minor that you're doing those things to. That's not love.
At the time, he was your pastor.
Yeah, yes.
What did you think of him before this all started?
We held him on a pedestal. Like, he was wonderful. He was awesome. Like, he was great. He was fun. I wanted him to be my dad. I had a great dad, but he was a great guy. Everybody liked him.
You trusted him?
I trusted him. Yeah, his whole family. Everybody did.
I was surprised to hear that you were a member of this church until right before this happened.
Yes.
What was it like to go there with this secret?
Well, I think I just put everything so far behind me, and that church really focuses on love and forgiveness. But in my mind, that love and forgiveness, it covers sins, but when they're illegal, and it becomes wrong. And over the years, as my girls became closer to the age that I was when that happened, I started to realize this is not okay. This is not good. So I wanted an opportunity for all these years to come out and speak up. But how do I do that? How do I hurt? Because the lie that I was told by John Lowe was, this will devastate everyone. I'll go to prison. Those were the words that I would hear. Yes. So how do I how do I navigate that with opening this up to everybody? I hurt my husband, I hurt my family, I hurt those closest to me in the church, you know, so you're trapped. And I think that's what I want other girls to know, that it is a trap. And you think in your mind, that's your brain that's not fully developed, that this is okay, he loves me, he likes me, this is, you know, but what you don't realize is what it's actually doing to you, and the damage that it's doing, and then the secrecy on top of that for all these years. I just wanted normal in my life, and so I fought to be normal, because people said, you're so normal. How, you know, they couldn't believe I could, and even somebody told me today, it's like you're living a double life. I said, you're right, you're right. I mean, I knew this had happened, not in my married life, but in my mind, I knew what had happened. But I wanted so badly to just be a good girl, to have my husband and have my family. And so I just kind of separated that, kept it in the past, and focused on my family and doing the best I could to protect my girls.
How are you remaining so strong right now?
I think I've dealt with it so long, and honestly, it might sound cliche, but the only person I could talk to was God, to be honest with you. I mean, I never talked to anybody. And so that's who I cried out to. And I believe he gave me strength, and I honestly believe he gave me this opportunity to have a voice.
What do you want from John Lowe now?
Honestly, I think the right thing for him to do would to be confessed and turn himself in, because he knows what he did was illegal.
And what do you want to happen to the church? There have been calls for it to shut down. What are your feelings on that?
Honestly, I believe that's the best thing for people right now, because the community sees it as a place that people have been deeply hurt. And if there's more of that continuing, that's not going to be good for anybody.
We did reach out to the church for an interview, and they did not get back to us on that at the time. I want to reiterate right now, live on the air, John Lowe, we would like to sit down with you and do an interview with you.